Happy Halloween and welcome to Hollywood Headlines. I'm your host, Max Vigue, and tonight's episode we are going to be talking about the latest news in Hollywood, starting with the announcement of Screen 7. Hollywood Headlines starts now. Before we get into the show, I would like to take a moment to thank Vela for being today's guest. The long-running horror franchise Scream will be getting a 7th film in 2026. Neve Campbell announced that she would be making her return as Sidney Prescott for the 7th installment, and Kevin Williamson, who wrote the original film in 1996, was announced as a director. It is unclear what the film will be about, but there is speculation that Matthew Lillard's character, Stu, will be making a return. The release date was announced in a cryptic Instagram post of a calendar being stabbed with a knife, with plenty of blood splatters for dramatic effect. The post was captioned, quote, "It's going to be a killer 2026, hashtag Screen 7, end quote. The film has February 27th release date for the year 2026. Theo, are you a fan of the Scream franchise?
To be honest with you, I actually am a fan of the Scream franchise.
Nice.
I've actually seen Scream 1. I've seen the original one. I went as Scream when I was probably about 8 years old.
Nice.
I kid you not. I still have the Scream mask somewhere. But, I mean, overall, 7 films in one franchise,
Yeah.
that's a lot. And I can't really think of many franchises that have 7 films running in a row. And to think about it, the first one was in 1996.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously little to no time for 7 movies to be made in about, say, 25, 30 years.
And it's kind of crazy because for like a slasher franchise, like this is really pushing it, because with most horror movies, obviously you see reboot after reboot, but like for a film franchise as consistent as Scream, 7 movies in a row is like, that's a lot of movies. Like the only time you really see that many movies within a consistent franchise are like large epics, like, you know, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, not usually with like horror movies and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, think about it. There's a lot of other horror movies too. Like there's so many Halloween movies that have been recently made. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm excited for the film. I think I'm gonna go watch it, Max.
You really think you're gonna go plan on watching it?
If the night says yes.
If the night says yes. For years, Heidi Klum has stunned us with her creativity and boldness and dramatic Halloween costumes. She has been everything from a giant peacock, life-size worm, and even a flesh-eating alien. Every year, Heidi Klum has put her all into giving the world the most lifelike Halloween costumes. Klum is not afraid to think outside of the box with Halloween costume concepts, such as her Michael Jackson Thriller costume in 2017. Doing this for nearly over 2 decades, she is committed to the art of the spooky season, always one-upping herself each year. Fans of the celebrity are excited to see what her elaborate Halloween costume is going to be this year. Theo, with the large variety of costumes she's done over the years, which one is your favorite?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I absolutely love the Shrek costume she did, or Fiona. It was Fiona.
Yeah.
I love that movie franchise, and I really never, other than people at the Shrek raves painting their whole entire bodies green. Yeah, it's pretty cool. She's you know, with the money that she has, and she can make any costume possible with any budget, basically. I wouldn't be surprised next year if she's actually like, you know, Bruce Wayne pulling up in the cars and all those fancy gadgets and stuff.
I feel like she could pull it off. Is that one of your many predictions that you have for what future Halloween costume she could possibly pull off in the future?
Dude, for sure. She could definitely do something, obviously something way out of the water, just something explosive pretty much. So
Yeah.
She should do Poison Ivy, actually.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
I think that'd be really cool, like having some like fake plants growing out of her arm or stuff like that.
That would be a good one. When we come back from the break, we will be talking about the announcement of the 4th Conjuring movie. Hollywood Headlines will be right back. Michael Chavez, the director of the 2021 Conjuring movie, has announced a fourth and final Conjuring movie that will wrap up the Conjuring franchise. The Conjuring franchise consists of 6 connecting movies and 3 main Conjuring movies. Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson will come together one last time to play their infamous roles as Ed and Lorraine Warren. This final movie will be considered the final boss movie because Ed and Lorraine will go up against every single antagonist that they have seen in the last 9 movies. This movie is set to release on September 5th, 2025, and has already begun filming in the UK. So, Theo, have you watched any of the Conjuring movies? And in general, are you a fan of the Conjuring franchise?
I've seen the first 2 movies. I haven't seen any of the other ones. I will say, like, I watched the first one and generally, like, kind of creeps me out.
Yeah.
But now that I'm just like, oh, you know, it's like dumb little stupid ghost stories. But, like, some of it is actually, like, really creepy, and there was a lot of good scenes. And I really like the film direction, and I like the cinematography in it. It's kind of good. It's just there to make you feel eerie and feel like on edge at all times.
Yeah.
And I think they're good movies, but you know, like some good movie franchises, like they're just going along. Like they're just honestly just pumping it out, and they're just it's losing its touch almost.
Yeah.
I feel like go ahead, Max.
No, I was gonna say that what makes the Conjuring franchise really scary in particular, that it's based off apparently true events, or at least events that are kind of correlated that happen in real life. That kind of leaves the question to beg, or that begs the question, are you a believer in paranormal activity?
You know what, Max? I actually am a believer in it. Even though I don't want to believe in it, I do believe it's real, and I do believe it's there. Yeah. I mean, it does creep me out at times, but sometimes you just got to see if the ghost is a chill guy or not. For real. Like, if he's just going to be one of those ghosts that just, like, randomly moves furniture around your house, like, oh yeah, cool, whatever, bro. You do your thing, man. Like, But you know, all of the movies are, oh my god, one bad, oh my god, yeah.
No, it definitely creeps you out, dude. Especially like towards the end of it. A couple of weeks ago, on October 19th, the 34th annual Tompkins Square Dog Parade took place in New York City. The parade in Manhattan's East Village drew thousands of onlookers to watch dogs dressed in their finest Halloween attire. The popular parade began over 34 years ago to raise money for the Tompkins Square Park Dog Run, the city's first and largest dog run. The most popular costume being a little chihuahua riding around in a grease-themed hot rod. Costumes from new movie releases such as Bob from Beetlejuice and Glinda the Witch were also popular amongst humans and 4-legged Halloween parade attendees. What is your opinion on the pet costumes?
I love pet costumes. I think my favorite pet costumes are when you see the dash huns, the little wiener dogs dressed as hot dogs. Like, that's just the best. That makes perfect sense. Like, and there's so many other ones too, like the water dogs with the long like fur coats. They're basically like a mop. Like, you could like dress them up as a mop pretty much. I mean, not putting down dogs like that, but like, no, it's awesome. I think dressing up dogs and cats and whatever pet may ever want to wear a costume, it's awesome.
As long as it's done like in an ethical way, I don't really see a problem with it. Like, I saw one time a husky on Instagram dressed up as a nat-at.
And I have seen a couple of other, like, what was it? A couple of other dogs. Oh yeah, like 2 years ago, someone actually painted on their dog. And I was like, that's not cool, man. That's not cool.
That's pushing it, I'm not gonna lie. Did you watch the parade by any chance, or at least get to see highlights from it?
Yeah, I saw a couple of clips. It's really awesome though. It's just, you know, it's a street on Manhattan. I believe it's 4th Ave and 34th Street. And it's just this little narrow pathway, and like all these dogs are like on these little tiny floats, and I think it's awesome. It's great.
Heck yeah. When we come back from the break, we will be sharing some of our favorite spooky Halloween movies from our Hollywood Headlines team. Hollywood Headlines will be right back. Welcome back. Happy Halloween once again from Hollywood Headlines. It wouldn't be Halloween over here in Wick Studio without talking about some of our crew's favorite Halloween movies. Theo, can you guess which Hollywood Headlines favorite classic horror film from the top 10 list of all time? I'll even help you out and give you our top 5 options in order. To determine our favorite classic film, it is Halloween, Psycho, Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, or Alien.
Oh, you know what? knowing the people, like knowing there's a bunch of film people that do this. I'm gonna say it's Psycho. Like that's just a visually pleasing movie that everybody has sort of seen, and like it's very, very classical and very. It's iconic. It's iconic to horror. It's basically the start of horror films, and it's just a great benchmark.
Yeah.
Benchmark. Wow.
Well, you would have that correct. The answer is Psycho from 1960. I would say Psycho is definitely a classic film, but I know you're not the biggest horror guy in the world. However, I'm glad you can at least appreciate Psycho for what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock is an unbelievable director. He's just directed so many iconic and so many just great movies, and just ones that people are like, oh yeah, Alfred Hitchcock, and The Iconic Stare, of course.
Yeah. I mean, since you're not that big into horror movies, I got a couple suggestions for you. Here are some from the production crew. Their favorite movies include the Rocky Horror Show Picture, Hocus Pocus, It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, Coraline, The Last Night in Soho. Have you seen any of these movies by any chance?
You know, I haven't seen, from that list, I haven't seen any of those movies, but I will say my favorite Halloween movie is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That is a
People
good one.
love to obviously argue whether it's a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie. I personally think it's a Halloween movie. Yeah. It's just, Jack Skellington is one of my favorite Disney animated characters. Like, it's stop motion. The stop motion is unbelievable, and it's just such a well put together film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since you pretty much clearly have a favorite, I'm surprised you haven't seen like The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. It's not even that.
Well, I've seen the Christmas one and I've seen the Thanksgiving one. Those are the like only two I can really remember seeing.
Well, you have your homework assignment. Well, that's all we have for tonight's episode, but make sure to come back next week for the latest in Hollywood news. A big thank you to Vela for coming to today's show. I'm Max McHugh. Have a happy Halloween and a great weekend, Millersville.